I honestly can't believe I'm saying this, you guys, but Todd and Julie Chrisley were found guilty of fraud. This is obviously a huge deal because Todd and Julie have been talking about how none of this was ever true and that people were coming after them for years. And not only were they found guilty, they were found guilty on literally all counts. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, this was the federal case, so it is a big deal. They settled their case with the state of Georgia years ago, but this one was still going on and the trial was insane. Todd's former business partner testified that he and Todd had an affair. Lindsay testified in support of her parents. Someone supposedly sent fake savings account paperwork to banks to make it look like the Chrisleys had way more money than they actually did so that they could get millions of dollars worth of loans. And even though I'm shocked, I've got to say, it would make sense if it were true. I mean, how many times have we all questioned over the years, where did Todd get all this money from? I mean, he's claimed to be this big business guy, but no one could ever figure out what his business truly was. And the only thing that doesn't make any sense to me is that if all of this is true, why the heck was Todd so eager to put his life on TV and let the entire world into his massive giant lie, otherwise known as his entire life? But, anyway, let's go back to the verdict for just 1 second. So we know that, they were found guilty by a jury, but now we have to see what comes next. So far we know that the maximum sentence that they could get is 30 years, but I just don't really see that happening. I mean, when do we ever see celebrity tax cases get more than a couple of years? But then again, this is a lot more than your typical celebrity tax case, and one thing that might mean that they're going to get a shorter sentence, though, is that they were sent home instead of straight to prison until their sentencing, which most likely means that they're going to get a slap on the wrist over anything super crazy like a 30-year sentence. But still, you have to wonder what's going to happen to the family, and will one of the older kids take Grayson in because he's still only 16? And then you have Chloe, who is literally being raised by her grandparents right now because neither of her parents can take care of her. So it's like, where is she going to go? And you would think that Savannah would take, over custody of her, right? But it's really not that easy because Todd and Julie technically only have custody of Chloe, and they don't even have full parental rights because they haven't adopted her or anything. So now that they're most likely going to prison, it's probably going to be a crazy battle to see who gets custody of Chloe with CPS involved and all of those insane, horrible things. So I can't even imagine what a nightmare that is going to be for everyone, but especially for Chloe, trying to figure out who she's going to live with while her grandparents, honestly, the only parents she's really ever known, are in prison. And it's just so horrible to even think about. I mean, she already has had such a difficult life in just a few short years, and now it's going to get even more difficult with her grandparents going to prison. So hopefully she's able to live with Savannah and have a little, disruption as possible. But then on top of it, it's like, what the heck is going to happen to all their shows? I mean, first of all, I don't think that they've talked about this case much at all on Chrisley Knows Best, if literally at all. So are they just going to casually explain that now, hey, they're going to prison? We all know that all these storylines are staged, so I don't know what they're going to do, for filming, especially because Todd and Julie are now on house arrest until the sentencing. And then you have all of their new shows, because literally right before the trial started, they announced that Todd was going to host a show called Love Limo on E, and that Growing Up Chrisley and Chrisley Knows Best had been renewed for new seasons. So obviously, no one, including their own network, thought they would be going to prison. But I have to say, have you guys heard about everything that went down on the trial? Because after all the information came out, it seemed hard to deny that Todd wasn't guilty. And but then there was one testimony that really made me question the entire thing, and it was from a woman who worked for Todd named Donna Cash, and she said that she was asked to fake all the documents by Mark Braddock, the same guy who claims that he had an affair with Todd, and the same guy that Todd has been saying for years faked all the documents behind his back to ruin him because he was obsessed with him. So honestly, Donna's story does add up, and she sounded extremely upset about the fact that she listened to Mark and did it, and she even called it the worst thing that she's ever done in her life, and that really makes me question what the actual truth is here. But who knows, maybe I'm crazy, the entire thing is just one giant huge made up lie, because supposedly Exactly. The fake documents kept going on after Mark was fired, so who really knows what the truth is? But one thing is for sure, I'm not jealous of that jury at all, because that seemed like a really complicated case without a clear-cut answer, at least in my opinion. But I mean, really, you know, who is telling the truth here and who is lying? Now, as far as the sentencing, it'll be a while before we find out. It should be around 100 days after the verdict, so we've got some time before we find out how much, you know, time Todd and Julie are going to be spending in jail, if any at all. And obviously, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I really don't think that they'll get them the maximum of 30 years. But I do definitely think that they're going to go away for some time, like maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe even just house arrest. Could honestly be anything. But I mean, what do you guys think? Such a crazy story. Do you think that Todd is just the biggest liar, 100% guilty, or do you think that he was framed like he claims? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I just cannot believe how insane this entire thing is. Well, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Please do me a huge favor, that like, follow, share, subscribe button, and y'all better stay tuned for many more videos.